Okay, 4-1, the coordinate plane. The first thing we have to learn are the parts of the coordinate plane. So, we have an x-axis. This line right here that's horizontal is called the x-axis. This is very important because when a point is located on the x-axis and you are asked to identify the location of that point, you will have to say x-axis. The next axis, the one that goes vertical, is called the y-axis, and many of you already knew this. So we have x-axis and y-axis. Okay. We also have the very middle point right here, this point where the two axes cross. The point where the two axes cross is actually called the origin. It's like the beginning. It's where you start when you're graphing. So it's called the origin. Okay? Then we have quadrants. We have quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now the way I keep them straight is I remember in my brain that this is called the coordinate plane. So if I were to write a giant C on top of this, I would start up here and I would go like this to make a C. That's how you do the quadrants. So this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. I remember the C for coordinate plane. That helps me to not mess up the quadrants. So this is quadrant 1 over here. That's quadrant 1, and you can put quad if you want to. This is quadrant 2. Also, you can use Roman numerals or you can use regular numbers. Doesn't matter. This one would be, everyone, quadrant 3, and this one is quadrant 4. Now, each quadrant and each axis has some places where there are crisscross marks. In other words, where two lines cross. Like here's a place, see where two lines cross would be right there. Two lines cross here, two lines cross there, two lines cross there. At those places, we're going to have what's called ordered pairs. Now, ordered pairs are not hard. They're super easy. There's also ordered pairs found in between the lines, but those are harder to find because they're like 1/2. We're not going to deal with a lot of those right now. Most of our ordered pairs will be on the lines. Here are some examples of ordered pairs. What you need to know about ordered pairs is that the first value in every ordered pair is x, and the second value in every ordered pair is y. So when I look at 3, 2, that's 3 is x, 2 is y. When I look at -5, 0, 3 is x, 0 is y. It's the same for all ordered pairs. The x value is first, the y value is second. If you have trouble remembering that, you just remember it's alphabetical. X comes before y in the alphabet. Now, in order to graph or plot is another word for graph, an ordered pair, you always start at the origin. So you go to the origin and you start there. And then you count. And since, like, let's graph the first one. We'll go ahead and graph 3, -2. 3, -2, to graph it, you're going to go over to +3. Okay, because everything this direction is positive. Everything this direction is negative. And this is 0. So we want to go to +3, so that's 1, 2, 3. And then we want to go to +2, because on the y-axis, it's the same. Positive numbers are this way, negative numbers are this way. Just like positive numbers are this way and negative numbers are this way on the x-axis. So we're going to go over 3, up 2, put our point right there where it goes, and that's the point 3, 2. That's its address, over 3, up 2. Let's do -5, 0. Okay, always side to side first. Always start at the origin. Start at the origin and go 5 over. And what does it say to go up? 0. So you stay right there. So there's the point, -5, 0. Now let's do 0, 2. 0, 2 says don't go anywhere on the first point. Don't go side to side. Go 0. But go up 2. Here's the point, 0, 2. What about -3, -2? Well, we would start at the origin, go -3, -2, and there's the point, -3, -2. Now, when you're really doing it, you don't draw all these extra lines that I'm drawing to show you how to do it. You just count. But I'm drawing the lines so that maybe you'll understand how to do it. Okay, one more point we have to graph, and it's -2, 4. So, let's start at the origin and go -2 over and 4 up. We went 4 up because it's positive. So that's -2, 4 right there. Okay, ordered pairs, really easy. You always go side to side with the first number, and you go up and down with the second number. Now, let's look at these points. They've all been plotted or graphed with the dot, and they've all been labeled with the letter. Now, sometimes the book is going to ask you just to tell the location or quadrant of the point, and usually it says the quadrant. Okay? Well, point A is in which quadrant? Quadrant 1, right? Point B is in which quadrant? Quadrant 4. Point C, I need an I there. Let me start over. Quadrant 4. 4 has an I in front of it. Okay, that's B. Point C is in which quadrant? Quadrant 3. Point D is in which quadrant? Quadrant 2. Now, when you get to point E, you're like, wait a minute. Point E is on the line between the quadrants. So that's what you say. For E, you're going to put the name of the line. What's the name of that line? The y-axis. And point F is on which line? The x-axis. So when it asks for the quadrant or the location, you write down where it's located, which quadrant or which axis. Now, sometimes they're not going to ask which quadrant it's located in. They're going to ask for you to tell the ordered pair. So there's some things to know about ordered pairs. First of all, ordered pairs always, always, always have parentheses around them. So put parentheses so you don't get them wrong. So, if you were working this for homework and it said find the coordinates of each point or ordered pairs, sometimes they say coordinates, that's the same thing, it means find the address. We would go, well, point A, it's going to have parentheses, and let's see, start at the origin, go over first, 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, only 3. 3 over, and then go 4 up. So that would be 3, 4. Okay? Point B, start at the origin. Go over 2 and down 3. Down is negative. So point B would be 3, negative, oh no, not 3, 2. 2, negative 3. We only went over 2. 2, negative 3. Graphing is very precise. You have to be very careful that you're counting correctly and getting on the right lines. Number C. To find the ordered pair for C, we would start at the origin. We would go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and down 2. Now we went over to the negative side, so that's negative 6, negative 2. Okay? Then D, we would go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, we went over in a negative direction, but we went up in a positive direction. So that's negative 7, 6. Point E, we would go nowhere for the first thing, because you can't go this way or this way. You can't go this way or this way and get to E, can you? You can go 0 for the first and then just 2. So point E is 0, 2. Point F, you get to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You get to go over 8, negative. And then you don't get to go up or down. So that's 0. Now, I want you to notice something about these points. Point A is in quadrant 1. And we already said point A is 3, 4. Do you notice something about the 3 and the 4? They're both positive. In fact, all of the points in quadrant A are positives. Every point in quadrant A is positive. There's no negatives when you are located in quadrant A. All of the points are positive, positive. Okay, let's look at B. See if we can tell something about it. Letter B came out with a positive first number, or positive x, and a negative y. Oh, that needs a parenthesis. So, guess what? Every point in quadrant B has a positive first number and a negative second number. This is good to know because you always have to go over in a positive way and down in a negative way. Point C is in quadrant 4. Point C is negative, negative. So guess what? You're already probably saying every point in quadrant C has a negative first number and a negative second number. Point D is in quadrant 2. What do you think is going to happen with point D? I bet you already guessed it. Point D is negative first number, or negative x, and positive second number, or positive y. Now the really cool ones, if you are a point like point E that lives on the, which axis? The y-axis. If you live on the y-axis, if you're a point that lives on the y-axis, your first point is always going to be 0 if you live on the y-axis. You're going to have 0 and then some point y. It could be positive or negative. It could be 0, 5, 0, 8, 0, negative 2. But the first point, if you live on the y-axis, the x is always 0, which is pretty cool. And then if you live on the x-axis, look at point F. If you live on the x-axis, you always have an x number first. Could be negative or positive, but you always have 0 second. There's always a 0 if you live on the x-axis. So that's good information too. Okay, video homework. Give the coordinates, that means the ordered pair, and the location, that means the quadrant number or the axis for each point. So for example, for point A, you're going to put A, and you're going to find the ordered pair. Well, let's see how to do A. Over 3 up 2, so that's 3, 2. Then you're going to say, oh, A is in quadrant 1. Then you're going to do that for B and C and D for all of the points all the way through H. That's the homework. Have a lovely evening.